Now, the Ghana National Chamber of Pharmacy says it will no longer operate on a credit basis. This means persons who supply medicines and those who sell the same would have to find the cash to pay or run out of stocks. This is expected to have dire consequences for Ghana's national health insurance scheme that operates mainly on a credit basis. The chamber says the inflation rate, fast depreciation of the cedi and high interest rate has rendered business unprofitable. There is more in the following report.
The chamber, comprising Pharmaceutical Manufacturing Association of Ghana and Pharmaceutical Importers and Wholesalers Association of Ghana, say their business are on the verge of a collapse.
Current inflation rate stands at 37.2%. And it will surprise you to know, as we speak, some medicines are up over 100% because the cedi has depreciated more than 100%. This obviously brings about increase in the cost of goods and services by the same quantum, which we are not happy at all about it. The cost of essential accessories and other inputs needed for pharmaceutical operations therefore becomes affected. Interest rates. Interest rates on loans contracted from commercial banks as at end of last year was approximately 27% and currently stands at 35% on a compounding scale. This means charges on loans to finance operations have escalated. Additionally, loans from commercial banks attract an extra 5% penal rates on default.
The chamber has therefore resolved to transact business on purely cash basis.
Therefore, call for an immediate action to save the industry. Decisions. No credit policy for all buyers in the industry. All transactions with immediate effect shall be on cash basis until the economy stabilizes. I want to repeat. No credit policy for all buyers in the industry. All transactions with immediate effect shall be on cash basis until the economy stabilizes. Recommendation. The NHIS and all private health insurance companies are encouraged to give accredited facilities seed funds to buy medicines on cash for supplies to patients under the schemes. All end-user institutions, thus retail pharmacies, private hospitals, and clinics, are encouraged to secure loans from banks to buy medicines on cash. The Ministry of Finance and Economic Planning should release funds immediately to pay for long-standing debts over 9 months and to push to clear all overdue debts.
The group, meanwhile, expects government to immediately settle outstanding debts as a first step towards keeping businesses afloat. It is not clear what the immediate impact will be on the sale of medicines at various outlets.
Our president of the Ghana Medical Association says this may be the beginning of the collapse of the NHIS.
I will tell you, health insurance would pay facilities. Sometimes it takes about 6 months, 7 months, 8 months before facilities are paid. And so it means that you have to virtually procure these medicines on credit. And then once health insurance reimburses, you go back to pay. Can you imagine holding somebody's money in this era of Ghana for 7 months, 6 months before you go and pay the person? So, for example, and there is no avenue for you to pay interest rates. Once it's locked in, it's locked in. So, for example, if for you purchase, let's say, a drug 6 months ago, which was costing even 1,000 Ghana cedis, in terms of the dollar terms, 6 months ago, maybe 1,000 Ghana cedis may have been something like $100. But currently, as we speak, I am even exaggerating, but then you get up after 6 months, and if it's 20, you still pay this person 1,000 Ghana cedis, but in terms of dollars, you have paid the person $50. And that is the reality. What it will mean is that hospitals now will need to get money from wherever to pay physically before they can get the drugs. That would mean two things. Either we charge the patients so that we can pay upfront, or hospitals take loans. So seriously, I don't know the way out, but I think the implications are there. We need to have a bigger dialogue, but the major dialogue for me is to how to stabilize this economy as quickly as possible. Otherwise, we are in big trouble. And if we don't do that, certainly you can't blame those who are selling because they are losing their capital. And it is quite worrying and troubling. And if we are not careful, this is the beginning of the collapse of the National Health Insurance Scheme. And so we need to quickly look at how we can stabilize the economy and curtail some of these things that are happening. Across board, everything is escalating.
Now, William Edum Ado is president of the Pharmaceutical Importers and Wholesalers Association, and he joins us on phone on this development. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us. He is on Zoom with us. Now, to what extent have you engaged government on these issues? Kindly unmute so we can understand what you're telling us, sir.
Yeah, good evening once again.
Great.
To you and your viewers. Yeah, thanks for the opportunity as well. With the government engagement, most of the suppliers have been having different discussions with the National Health Insurance and other stakeholders involved. And this is not something that has just come up. It's been persistent several years till now. Usually, when the economy is stable, you are able to absorb some of these things because you have the patient at heart. You realize that the pharma industry is one industry that over the years has been very liberal in giving credit facility along the whole chain of the pharma industry, giving credit to the retailer, giving credit to the hospitals, whether tertiary or primary, or giving credits all over. But over time, we've realized that some institutions started abusing this leniency and also goodwill. And unfortunately for us, in this current situation, we can't go along that business model again because, as you may know, values are coming down. And by the time you receive your money, the money can't even buy the same product that you bought again. So you realize that we can't go along the same tangent and the same liberal model that is not helping whether you're importing or you're a manufacturer. Because assuming you're a manufacturer, you have to import raw material. You import, you produce the product, you give it to whether a primary or tertiary institution, and the person decides or the institutions to pay as and when the institutions feel like paying. And I don't know any business model that runs successful business on that model. But as I said, because we had the patient at heart, we've been using this model for several years.
Okay.
But
we also heard you talk about the fact of, debt. Do we have a sense of how much government is owing your members, and how soon do you expect payment to be made as you're asking for?
I don't know the figures because, as I said, they pay as and when they have to pay, but not according to any timelines. You know, currently there's nothing that you buy in this country virtually on a timeline that you don't know when you are going to pay. But here we are in the pharma industry. That's what is happening. And we are only saying that for now and henceforth, it will be better if we want to sustain the industry. Because can you imagine that around the COVID area, if institutions didn't have enough medicines, it would have been disastrous.
Well, so we do not even have a sense of the range within which government is owing your members?
Several months. I know some, it's as long as 6 to 9 months. Because they'll tell you it's a process. It has to come from the institutions. At times it goes back, But the bottom line is, if you are going to buy any other item apart from medicines, normally you even go for a pro forma invoice.
Okay, all right.
Before you write your check, before you go and pay even some of the companies will make sure that the check clear before they supply.
But when it comes to medicine, you are supposed to send it, once you win the award, you are supposed to send it to wherever they want you to send it, into their warehouse.
So what should happen, as we all know that in this situation we are in, government may come to you to say, we do not have the funds. What should happen for you to rescind this particular decision of yours?
I think they should just pay up. You know, having the funds is one thing, and paying up is another.
Grateful.
Because
I'm grateful. Grateful to you, sir, for joining us. William Edum Addo is president of the Pharmaceutical Chamber. Now let's broaden this discussion by bringing in the Coalition on NGOs in Health. Bright Emisa Nyako is the national chairman of the coalition. Thank you so much for joining us. What do you make of this development as we're in now? Kindly unmute so we can follow you, sir. We still cannot hear you. Kindly unmute so we can hear what you're telling us.
Very well. Can you hear me now?
Yes, very clear now. Let's hear you.
Good. So good evening to your viewers and listeners. I think the Ghana National Pharmaceutical Commission they have a concern, a genuine concern, all right. But I think taking an entrenched decision at this very material moment of hardship in Ghana, it's very disturbing and worrying to all of us. If they consider their decision at this moment, then it's like they are not trying to genuinely have Ghanaians and, for that matter, vulnerable people in the society at heart.
No, but you heard that the man was telling us some of their members are owed up to 9 months. How do you expect businesses to still be in existence when they are owed up until that particular period? It's a lot of money in here.
Yes, I agree with you, but you also agree that there's no way we can continue to do this without, holding a dialogue together and then holding a very good discussion, which will come to a very win-win situation where everybody becomes happy and then the people of Ghana are also adequately served. Is it the problem of the citizens in Ghana who are going to face these challenges that to be punished unfairly and unduly at this material moment? It is not anybody's fault that they have not been paid. It is the system that has accrued this hardship on all of us.
Okay.
And it demands
so on that basis,
how
do you then think, or how do you suggest the subscribers to the NHIA must be protected in this circumstance?
So in a matter of urgency, I think the NHIA and then this GNCP should come into a compromise and dialogue. They should find a convenient situation where they will be able to come to a win-win situation and then free Ghanaians out of this hardship. Okay. If they take an entrenched situation of punishing us this way, it is going to have an escalating effect on all of us health and then concerns.
Okay.
There's going to be increase in mortality. People are going to resort to herbal medicine and so on and forth. People are now going to do personal medications and so many other things. So the way forward is actually to dialogue with the NHIA and then the ministries to find a means to getting this addressed, and then all Ghanaians become free as we move forward.
I'm grateful to you, Bright Emisa Nyako. There he is, the national chairman of the NGOs in Health. Now, joining us on the telephone line is a ranking member on the Health Committee of Parliament, Kwabena Kando. Thanks very much for joining us, sir. This decision by the Chamber of Pharmacy will spell doom for majority of Ghanaians who rely on the NHIS for health care. What do you think must happen now to avert the potential impact that we are all seeing?
Thank you very much. Let me say good evening to your listeners. If there's a crisis like this nature, it is very important to appreciate the fact of the issue so that the person, on the other hand, even if you go into negotiation, would also have the patience to listen to you. The fact of the matter is that the government is simply being unreasonable and being wicked to the healthcare sector. Okay? What is quite disheartening is that the very people who are going to bear the brunt of this particular decision are the ordinary Ghanaians. Unfortunately, the president is not going to suffer. The finance minister is not going to suffer. The health minister is not going to, because they can afford. That is what pains me. And I mean, let's face it. You know the deteriorating nature of our economy at the moment. You know the exchange rate. Something, I mean, if you needed about $10,000 in 2021, you needed about 58,000 Ghana cedis to be able to get $10,000. Today, as I speak to you, you need more than 139,000 Ghana cedis to be able to get $10. You know about the hikes in the utility prices. You know about the exchange, what do you call it, the interest rate. You know all these factors obviously will affect the industry. And then you think that, I heard you ask the question, what if government does not have money? We don't have the money. Government cannot say they do not have the money. And you see, this national health insurance money is one of the most reliable money we can ever have in this country because it's paid upfront. Oh. It is not as though we are asking government to go and look for money to come and fix the situation. No. We pay national health insurance levies, and the law says that once you collect the national health insurance levies, you must lodge the money into the national health insurance account or fund within 30 days. So ask yourself, government is owing in excess of 2 billion Ghana cedis to the service providers. So where is the money government has collected? We can't simply speak this truth, and we are beating about the bush.
Okay.
I mean, this is very pathetic.
So once you know that the monies are paid upfront and therefore they have to be made available, what will you do as a committee to help the process and find solutions?
We are doing everything about it. Government is simply being wicked. And I'm using these words because when it comes to the health sector, we should not miss words. This is about the health of the people. We have been doing press conferences upon press conferences and telling government to pay their money. This is not the first time this is happening. I am telling you the truth. And so before we even start to even go into roundtable discussions or negotiations, government should do the needful. We should be able to clear their arrears.
Okay.
So that we can even say, okay, when we have got it to, please give us credit on, let's say, 2 months basis or 1 month basis. But for you to tell me that I should go and negotiate with somebody we owe in excess of 9 months and given these economic conditions, let's be realistic, my brother. In fact, it is even in our interest, okay, to see this industry survive so that they don't collapse and they'll be able to supply what we need as a country. It is our interest. Very, very important.
Honorable, I'm grateful that you could join us. Kwabena Mittakando is the ranking member on the Health Committee of Parliament.